Now at 5:30, if you have spent any amount of time exploring the Florida Everglades, you know that there really is no place like it anywhere.
Yet the delicate ecosystem is in trouble because of lack of fresh water. CBS 4's Manuel Bojorquez explains what's being done to fix the problem.
The strangely beautiful Roseate Spoonbill has raised its young along the Everglades for hundreds, likely thousands of years. But the Spoonies are abandoning the Everglades. This roost is hundreds of miles north of their traditional nesting area. The Spoonbills need small freshwater pools to feed, and those are disappearing from the glades.
How disturbing a trend is it?
It's very scary. You know, we see a lot of saltwater intrusion, which is also something that is very damaging to the Everglades. It changes the habitat, makes it less productive.
Jerry Lorenz of Florida's Audubon Society says it's more than just birds. The entire ecosystem is out of balance.
What have we done to the Everglades?
Well, biggest thing we've done is drained it. For our purposes.
Development,
so, development,
farming.
Agriculture. This was the big land boom. There were people who looked at that swamp and said, what a waste of land, it's fertile soil, let's drain it.
Fresh water from the Kissimmee River used to flow south into Lake Okeechobee. During the rainy season, the overflow would filter through the Everglades, all the way to Florida Bay. But development has blocked much of that natural flow. This is what one part of the Glades looked like in 1970. And this is just 30 years later.
We've already lost, what, 50% of the Everglades?
That's about right, yes.
Is the rest of it salvageable?
Yes. The only way to do that is to restore that flow.
The diversion and disruption of that water are largely responsible for toxic algae blooms in recent years. Now, nearly 20 years after a major Everglades restoration plan was first agreed upon, the Florida Senate this month finally approved a $1.5 billion reservoir to collect and send some of the overflow back through the Everglades.
This allows us to restore somewhat of that connection so that we can provide fresh water to ultimately down to Everglades National Park and especially Florida Bay.
Steve Davis is a wetlands ecologist.
So essentially it's giving back some of the water that made the Everglades the Everglades.
Absolutely. It's recreating the river of grass.
But beneath the surface, another danger lurks: sea level rise. More salt water is seeping in. Left unchecked, it could one day taint the drinking water supply for 8 million people in South Florida.
This is a marsh that has been exposed to some saltwater intrusion.
Dr. Tiffany Troxler walked us out to one of her Everglades research projects to show us how salt water is already damaging vital sawgrass plants.
When we came out here and measured the salt, it was about 3 times higher than what we thought we would experience here.
She says that makes reintroduction of fresh water all the more important. And while many think the Everglades are beyond the tipping point, she remains hopeful.
I like to say that we got ourselves into this mess. We can figure out how to get ourselves out of it.
To be sure, the reservoir project still has a long way to go. Congress must approve the federal share of funding, and it must be built. Of 68 projects that were proposed as part of the Master Everglades Restoration Plan, only 6 are currently under construction. From the Everglades, I'm Manuel Bojorquez for CBS 4 News.